Okay, so no, no content was found. Alas. Anyway, it's 3-3 for every difficulty level. Oh, okay. Oh, so it stacks. Okay, so I thought I had to beat it on easy, normal, and hard to get 100%. Oh, but it stacks. Okay. But you can't play hard right out the gate. If you could have played, if I could have played brutal to start with, I probably would have. Okay, anyway. There's DLC in the form of extra arena battles. Yeah, and there was also DLC for masks, right? There was like different types of masks you could get. I don't remember where I was. I think I was reading forum posts. I was reading like 11-year-old forum posts about this game. I love playing an old game like this because it's like uh everything that you're going to find out about it, everything that's relevant to it was made like over a decade ago, so it's almost like unearthing history. Uh but let me talk about this a bit. So, I found out about the Splatterhouse series through Happy Video Game Night, which me and Drake were talking about. And sort of info about old games. It's like looking into a time capsule. Exactly, and I love it. I love it because people will say things. They're like, "Oh yeah, I think there'll be a sequel, or I think I think there'll at least be some DLC that finishes up the story." And it's like, nope, and it's like that person probably doesn't even remember they wrote that, but it's kind of like it's interesting to see what people like thought about it back then versus what they think about it now, if they think about it now. But yeah, I found out about Splatterhouse through Happy Video Game Nerd. So I didn't play Splatterhouse when I was a kid. My mother was very well, okay, before my parents got divorced when I was 10, my mother was like very like I don't want you watching anything violent. I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing that. And it wasn't like we were really religious or anything. She just didn't want me like fighting with other people. She's like, if he watches people fighting each other, he's gonna want to fight kids at school, and I don't want him to fight kids at school. That was like her mentality. And then they got divorced. They're like, I don't give a fuck anymore. But I didn't play it as a kid. Point being, Happy Video Game Nerd in his review, he made it shortly after the game came out, and he makes it a point to mention that the critics hated this game. It's like, have you seen what the critics say about this game? They hate it. And he's like, the points the critics make, I kind of agree with. So the critics are saying things like, the frame rate is stuttery. The camera is sometimes, your worst enemy. A lot of the enemies are, like, there's not enough enemy variety. Like, most enemies are, like, very similar. They use, like, similar models with, like, different skins. They're not unique enough to demand multiple strategies. Some moves are overpowered and some moves are useless. And he's like, I agree with all those. I agree with all those, but I don't care. Like, I don't care as much as they do. He basically said, like, on paper, yeah, this is, like, not a very good game. Like, there's a laundry list of things you could hold against it. He said, but it has charm, and it has humor, and it has spectacle. It's, like, the ultimate style over substance game. That's the way he put it. I kind of agree with him. There's a handful of combos that'll carry you all the way to the end. And the difficulty curve is like a fucking roller coaster. Like, it'll be the easiest game in the world until it's not, and it's like almost impossible. And then after that, it's like super, super easy. It's almost like the game doesn't know how hard it is, and they'll like mix it up a little bit too much. The hardest parts of the game were the very beginning, where you can't heal, you have like almost no abilities, you have almost no combos. You're like, you can roll, and that's about it. You can't even guard. The hardest part of the game is in the beginning when you can't do anything. Once you start getting some combos and you can start spending your blood meter, it becomes the easiest fucking game you've ever played. Until like chapter 7 or 8, where you start fighting bosses as like normal enemies. But then it's also easy because of the slam attack. It's like as soon as you get the slam attack, like the slam attack is so overpowered, and you don't get it until you start facing those boss enemies as regular enemies. But the slam attack does so much damage, and it can hit multiple enemies as long as you group them up right. It's like, you have slam attack, you have a handful of combos, and you have the healing combo. Like, the Berserker mode, the Spartan Rage mode, doesn't even seem worth it most of the time, because you can clear an entire floor of enemies with just one meter instead of 3. it's fun to figure this game out. It's fun to figure out what works and what doesn't. And it's fun to figure out, like, how should I spend my meter? How, you know, like, let's say I'm really good at fighting a certain type of enemy, and I'm just going to basically beat him up and get my meter back, and then I'll use my meter to beat another enemy in the same room that I'm not that good with. You know, strategy like that. Like, there is strategy involved. It's not a mindless button masher like a lot of the reviews of the time said. It's pretty good. Now, I didn't pay a dime for this. I got this as a gift. If I had paid $60 for this when it was brand new, I might have been a little pissed off, to be honest with you. But as it is, I had a fucking blast. If you can get this for a decent price, I say get it. But it's like $50-$60 in America. I don't know what it is. This does not seem like a game that saw a very wide release because of like the subject matter and the gore. Probably did not come out in Australia. You show like a knife in a game in Australia, and it's gonna have like a warning label on it. Overall, it was pretty fun. I'm ready to go through the arena challenges. I'm ready to go through on hard mode.